This happened since March 18, 2014, when Bruce Pearl was named and hired as the head coach at Auburn University.
But we will get it done.
Quite a 54th birthday for new Auburn head men's basketball coach Bruce Pearl, and like he said, he's back.
Well, he's done it. He's won more games as the Tigers head coach than any other coach, and he has changed the culture as students line up hours, even days ahead to get inside to watch a home game. Hello to my friends at the Birmingham Tip-Off Club. We are in for a treat this hour, but before we hear from Coach, let's see some hoop action. Since we last met, Auburn's standout big man, Janai Broome, suffers a major ankle sprain. He's been out of action for a couple of games now, though the Tigers have not skipped a beat. Earlier last week, the Tigers, as the number one ranked team in the country, throttled Mississippi State 88-66. And then this past weekend, Auburn on the road beat a very good Georgia team 70-68 to Todd Pettiford, leading the way with 24 points.
My dad always told me, you gonna have your bad days, you gonna have good days. And don't let your good days, get your head too high, because that bad game can bring you all the way down. So I just try to stay poised and stay low-headed.
We need to start putting two halves completely together. I feel like sometimes we let our foot off the gas a little bit.
Auburn is still number one at 17-1 and plays host to Tennessee next Saturday. As for Alabama, the Tide played last Tuesday at home, and Bama falls flat against Ole Miss 74-64, and head coach Nate Oates was none too pleased.
It's disgusting, to be honest with you. With the amount of fifth-year seniors we have and the leadership that should be shown on this team, to have guys not come in ready to play, it starts with me.
Bama responded next time out on the hardwood. On the road at Lexington, Grant Nelson, Mark Sears leading the way. The Tide beat the Wildcats 102-97, and Alabama is now 15-3 and takes on Vandy tomorrow night. As for UAB, the Blazers went down to Florida and take care of business, beating both Florida Atlantic and South Florida. UAB is now 4-1 in conference play and hosts UTSA Tuesday at Bartow. Let's go back to the SEC. Jason Edwards scored 18 points as Vanderbilt finally gets the better of Tennessee 76-75. The Commodores have won 2 straight games. Behind standout performances from Elijah Martin and Walter Clayton Jr., the Florida Gators get back to its winning ways at home with an 84-60 victory over Texas. The Oklahoma Sooners go on a 15-0 run in the second half to register its first ever SEC victory, defeating South Carolina 82-62. Missouri gets past Arkansas with a commanding 83-65 victory as Mizzou advances to 4-1 in SEC play for the first time in program history. Riley Kugel scores a season-high 21 points and comes up big in the clutch as Mississippi State earns bragging rights for now against Ole Miss 84-81 in overtime. Wade Taylor, the fourth, scores 12 points in his return from injury as Texas A&M takes control late to earn a 68-56 win over LSU. As for in-state play, Samford has its win streak come to an end. The Bulldogs come up short to East Tennessee State 63-57. Samford drops to 15-4. In SWAC play, Alabama State travels to Alabama A&M, and the Hornets pull out the W 69-65, ASU improving to 7-11. Jacksonville State University takes down Sam Houston State 70-62. The Gamecocks are now 11-7. It's another bragging rights special to mention. South Alabama holds off Troy 64-63. In women's action, Auburn gets its first conference win of the season as the Lady Tigers take down Missouri at home 75-60. The Alabama women get back in the win column with a 94-62 handling of Arkansas. And before we go, I want to mention Deschler girls high school basketball coach Jana Killen. Last Friday, she wins her 919th career win, tying her all-time for both boys and girls in the state for all-time coaching wins in high school hoops. Coach Killen can break the record tomorrow night as Deschler takes on Hatton. Meanwhile, enjoy, Coach, and we'll see you next time.
Sheldon Haygood does a terrific job with that, and we certainly appreciate him. And we remind you that that'll be at 11:55 before each of our meetings, so get here just a little bit early and make sure you see Sheldon's highlights. I'd like to welcome everybody to the January 20th meeting of the Greater Birmingham Tip-Off Club on this Martin Luther King holiday. It's great to see everybody here. One quick note about Dr. King that I wanted to mention, and I think often goes overlooked, but you know, at the time of his assassination, he was 39 years old, and I think we forget that sometimes when you think about during those times when he was planning marches and boycotts, and when he was meeting with high-level government officials and business and religious folks, and when he was writing the letter from the Birmingham jail, and when he was preparing and delivering those incredible speeches, I Have a Dream, and I've Been to the Mountaintop, when he was receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, when he was changing the world, basically. He was in his 20s and 30s, and I think we just don't think about that a lot, and I just think that makes all those accomplishments even more remarkable. So just wanted to remember him on this special day. I hope you were with us last meeting 2 weeks ago for Bucky McMillan. It was an incredible day. I know many of you have commented about how good Bucky was, and it was as good as I've ever heard him. And he was, we talked about how he was very personal with his talk and really spoke from the heart. It was just in a great crowd, so it was a big day. We also honored Sarah Gordon, our Player of the Week from Vestavia Hills, and she was quite impressive as well. Leslie Claybrook, the general manager of the Squadron, kind of briefed us on their season to this point. So we had a great day 2 weeks ago. We're very excited today. Of course, Coach Pearl always brings in our biggest crowd, and I know he has a million things he could be doing right now, and we're just very fortunate that he's able to spend some time with us, and we appreciate that, Coach. I know you talk a good bit about making history, and I think that you're helping us make history today. I don't believe we've ever had, in the long history of our club, the coach of the #1 team in America. I may have to fact check with some of our charter members, but because you know we're around 50 plus years, and we go back to Adolph Rupp has spoken to this club, Al McGuire, Bobby Knight. I mean, real legends. John Calipari, can you still call him a legend? I guess you can, but so anyway, we've had some great speakers, but I believe this is a first, and so I think we are making history today. Our Alabama Power Speaker Series will continue the next few meetings. I mentioned them last time. February 3rd, we have Nate Oates, another top 5 coach. So back to back, some really big time coaches are with us. February 6th is our night with the Squadron, and please mark that on your calendar. We have a good time out there, and I encourage you to be a part of that. We have Nick Weldon out, and after the meeting, he'll be out back, and you can pick up your tickets from him if you'd like. $30, it's quite a bargain because you get access to the Arena Club at Legacy Arena. We'll have dinner beforehand, premium seats, first 5 rows. So it's going to be a fun night. I hope you will take part. You'll have an opportunity to register online and get your tickets, but you can get them today as you leave if you'll see the guys at the table from the Squadron in the back. Nick Weldon will be there. So stop by and see Nick on your way out. March 3rd, Coach, as you know, 3 of the 12 members of the selection committee live within a 60-mile radius of Birmingham, or at least that was the case the last couple of years. Commissioner McLennan has rotated off, but we've been fortunate to have all 3 of those with us the last 2 years, a panel discussion, and they'll be back on March 3rd, which is 13 days before Selection Sunday. So we're going to get the scoop from those 3 guys, and I hope you'll plan to be here on March 3rd. And then March 24th, Andy Kennedy will comment on the Blazers season, and we'll also preview, I think that's the Sweet 16 weekend that will follow. So Andy always has his pulse on the college basketball scene from his days in the media, so he'll always be interesting to hear from as well. We are continue to work on a special program to promote and preview the NCAA Women's Regional, which is a huge event last weekend in March right down the road at Legacy Arena. So we're putting together a program there, and you'll hear more about that in a little bit, actually, about that event. So looking forward to that. And while we're talking about the Alabama Power Speaker Series, I wanted to recognize Zeke Smith over here. Zeke is a longtime Tip-Off Club member. He's retired from Alabama Power, currently a trustee at Auburn University, and he has been a pivotal figure in us putting together this Alabama Power Speaker Series and with their sponsorship. So we really thank Zeke for his help there. A quick reminder, if you're a guest today, we would love to have you as a member. Our guest fees are $275 annually for a membership. If you're 35 or under, it's just $175, and you can apply today's guest fee to that membership. So we hope you'll consider that, and if you're interested, just let us know or sign up at the table on the way out. We'd love to have you as a member of this great club. Okay, let's get on with our meeting, and at this time, I will ask Ed Meyerson to come forward. Ed is a charter member, actually one of the founding fathers of the Birmingham Tip-Off Club. Let's welcome Ed Meyerson.
Thank you, Dick. Before I give the invocation, I just want to make a little comment. About 9 years ago, I got to meet Coach Pearl when Mike Slive and myself co-founded the Mike Slive Prostate Cancer Research Foundation. And the first person to step up to help us was Coach Pearl. And over the last 9 years, he has been nothing but the number one person to help us meet our goal each and every year. And you're the first people to know that on September 4th, Coach Pearl will be honored as our honoree of the Mike Slive Honor Award for everything he's done for prostate cancer and cancer, especially the Mike Slive. That's September 4th, and I hope that everybody here will join me in honoring Coach Pearl on September 4th. So with that, as we pause, as we celebrate Martin Luther King Day and the peaceful transition of our government, in quiet reflection to offer this prayer for a peaceful world. In our individual and personal ways, we call upon the Holy One who sustains our lives and who inspires us to live with compassion and kindness and peace. We ask for daily guidance in all our personal relationships, in our work and play, and in our community involvement, that we might model the possibilities of peace in everything we say and everything we do. We pray for wisdom and compassion within the hearts and minds of our president and all world leaders who have the power and the responsibility of making those decisions that impact the presence for peace in our country. We pray for courage, dedication, integrity within the spirits of all those who work for peace around the world. We pray for all those who harbor thoughts and feelings of hatred, anti-Semitism, and violence against other minorities, and that their hearts and minds and souls will be transformed into your likeness of compassion and kindness. We are thankful today for your presence within our lives and ask for your blessings on the Tip-Off Club, its members, and our speaker as we try to live meaningful lives. And for that, we pray for the meal we are about to eat. Thank you. Amen. Now, everyone, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ed. That was beautifully said. We appreciate you, and congratulations, Coach Pearl. We'll look forward to September 4th and put that on our calendars. Okay, let's welcome the man that makes our meetings so energetic and entertaining and informative. Let's welcome Kevin Skarbinski, our MC.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I don't want to go off on a rant here, but no, yes, I do. I want to go off on a rant here. Over the weekend, Bruce, and I know this has never happened to you, I got in a Twitter squabble. And how it commenced was Alabama beat Kentucky in Rupp Arena. And a local media outlet that shall remain nameless put out a tweet that said, Alabama upsets Kentucky, which upset me. And I retweeted their tweet and said, upset, question mark. And I got a fusillade of responses explaining to me the Las Vegas point spread. Now, let me tell you, I'm not a Vegas guy. I've been to Las Vegas once in my life to watch Auburn play in the Thomas and Mack Center against UNLV about 35 years ago. And I didn't put one nickel in one slot machine while I was there. So I'm not a gambler. I don't care that Kentucky was a 2.5-point favorite. I don't care that Mark Pope has done a fantastic job with this program. He's lifted it up. They were number 8 in the country. Alabama was number 4. And I can give you some other metrics, and these were true beforehand. Let's look at, we've got to get out, I don't know how, we're still in this old school way of thinking that Kentucky basketball is the be-all and end-all. No, the state of Alabama basketball is the be-all and end-all in the SEC. And nationally, there are 7 metrics, advanced metrics, that go on the team sheets that the members of the NCAA selection committee will describe for us when they speak to us for the 3rd straight year. Listen to where Auburn and Alabama and Kentucky rank in these 7 metrics. ESPN strength of record, Auburn 1, Alabama 2, Kentucky 14. Wins above bubble. Don't ask me to explain these things, okay? I'm not a mathematician. But I know these matter to the committee members. Wins above bubble, Auburn 1, Alabama 2, Kentucky 14. KPI, which I learned was invented by a professor at Michigan State. I don't know if that does Tom Izzo any favors, but in KPI, Auburn, number 1 in the country, Alabama, number 2, Kentucky, number 12. In the NCAA net rankings, Auburn, number 1, Alabama, 7, Kentucky, 12. In KenPom, Auburn, 2, Alabama, 8, Kentucky, 20. In the Torvik T ranking, I think you have to be an actual rocket scientist to understand that one. Auburn, number 2, Alabama, number 7, Kentucky, number 15, and leave it to ESPN in the Basketball Power Index. They're all messed up. They've got Auburn, number 3, which is 2 spots too low, Alabama, 6, Kentucky, number 20. Now, I say this to reinforce my point. Stop thinking that Auburn or Alabama beating Kentucky is an upset. It's not. Since the 2017-2018 season, this man's 4th year at Auburn, that's 7+ years. Auburn has more wins, more SEC tournament wins, more SEC regular season championships, more SEC tournament championships, more NCAA tournament wins, and more Final Fours than the University of Kentucky. Since the 2020-21 season, Nate Oates' 2nd year at Alabama, all of those things are true vis-a-vis Alabama versus Kentucky. Not to mention, there are 10, you should remember this by heart now, I say it enough, there are 10 Division I programs in this state. At this very moment, 7 of those programs are either alone in first place or 1 game out of first place. 7 out of 10. So if you come at me with the notion that any team in this state beating the University of Kentucky in basketball is an upset, be prepared to go to war. All right, rant over. Now, we've got a great basketball event coming to this state in a little more than a month with the NCAA Women's Regional and Elite Eight. And now to tell us more about that, from Knight Edie, Preston Kirk.
Thank you, Kevin. The excitement and passion that he had for that, what y'all don't know is when we go after these NCAA events, we have to put these massive bid packages together that take months and months and months to like bring so much information together. Kevin, for the last 2 times that we've put these together, has written a beautiful, extremely passionate piece for us that we put in these packages of what basketball means to Birmingham. And it's so powerful with what he does and the voice that he has. I want to thank him for doing that because it means so much for us to be able to have someone that can write like he does, put the passion that he puts into it, and that showcases Birmingham and the state of Alabama as a basketball state and entity and program, and the Auburn and Alabama and Samford, all the great, and UAB, schools that we have here. It's so awesome to be able to have those schools in this area that lifts us all up, that allows us as a company to be able to go after these big events. So I really thank Kevin, Dick, for the support y'all have for us when we go after these. I think I was here maybe 2 years ago talking about the men's March Madness tournament, and we were extremely excited to have Coach Pearl and the Tigers play here. We had a huge turnout for that. The excitement around that was unbelievable. I hope a lot of y'all were there. We had a lot of y'all as volunteers come out and support that event. See a lot of y'all here that helped us out last time. So I want to talk about the volunteer support for the women's basketball tournament that we've got here in March. So the unique thing about the women's regional is technically 2 regions in one, the way they do it now. So we will actually send 2 women's teams to the Final Four. Final Four is in Tampa this year. So we will present a team on a Sunday night and on a Monday night, and we'll send them off to the Final Four. So what's unique about the women's regional is technically like your Friday, Sunday games are going to be one region, and then your Saturday, Monday games are going to be a different region. So we're hoping that we're going to have some SEC programs that make it here. We'll actually know after the second round what teams we'll have here. So if we can go to the next slide, kind of show a little bit what we're looking for, but we're going to have a volunteer meeting Thursday, February 20th at the Knight Edie office. If you want to learn more how to volunteer, what volunteer opportunities we're looking for. One of the recap meetings we had with the NCAA after the men's tournament was they were extremely, extremely, extremely satisfied with the turnout that we had from our volunteer support. That obviously makes a huge difference when we're doing these massive events. To the spectators that are coming here, to the teams that are coming here, to the NCAA when they come here. That was one of the top things they ranked us, is that the support we had from a volunteer standpoint made a huge difference. And that's Southern hospitality. Like that's what makes what we do here great, is the support we get from you all as the volunteers. So we're gonna have a meeting at the Knight Edie office. You see the address up there. Thursday, February 20th, 4 to 5:30. You'll learn more about different opportunities. We're looking for team host. I see CJ Glover over here. Miss Barbara McRoy, she's still here. They were team hosts for us last year. We're looking for locker room attendants, team greeters, bench attendants. There's about 60 to 70 positions we've got to fill over the course of the 4 days that we have the women's regional tournament here. The actual tournament itself is March 28th through the 31st. That's a Friday through Monday. And we'll have 2 games on Friday, 2 games on Saturday, 1 game Sunday, 1 game Monday. And so those will be the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 rounds that we've got here in Birmingham. And this is the first time that the women's regional has ever been to Birmingham. So obviously we're extremely excited for that. For y'all that don't know, Birmingham has already been awarded the men's first and second rounds again in 2028. So we're excited to be part of that as a Knight Edie office. We also partner with the SEC on that. So extremely proud and excited to be able to showcase Birmingham, showcase the state. and Legacy Arena. They do a great job over there at the BJC to be able to put these games on and work with us and get everything prepared and ready to go. So if you have any questions, we've got an email up there. We also have flyers on the table on the way out. You might have seen those as you walked in. We've got an email, joe@980.com. But again, grab a flyer before you walk out if you want to come by and see some of that and hear about the opportunities and just be a part of an NCAA event here in Birmingham, Alabama. So thank you for letting me talk for a minute. Kevin, Dick, appreciate it. The support, again, we love it. We want to have it. It's great to see smiling faces. When teams walk in, it means a whole lot. When they're able to walk into the venue, see smiling faces, have somebody greet them, it makes a huge difference. It also supports us in everything that we get to do here in Birmingham. So again, thank you. Grab a flyer on your way out, and we'll see you February 20th.
One of the reasons that college basketball is so good in this state is because of high school basketball in this state. And that's why it's always a privilege to honor a player each week. And now to do that, our very own Wade Kaiser.
All right, our player of the week this week is Dwayne Brown, Hoover High School. And Dwayne is joined today by his coach, Scott Ware. Scott is longtime coach in the state of Alabama, started out at Escambia as an assistant coach, Walker High School as an assistant coach, then a head coach, same at Hoover. He was an assistant and then a head coach at Hoover as well. But he's been the head coach since 2021 at Hoover. Career record, 296 and 152. I think I added your 2 games you won last week. As he gave me this before that. Hoover record is 124, maybe 126. I don't know if I made that one. Anyway, a lot in 26. Won the last 2 state championships at Hoover. He was the 2023 7A Coach of the Year as well. Just a quick quote from Coach. Dwayne Brown is a dream to coach. As a coach, if you were given a blank slate and told you could select the traits that you would want a player to possess, Dwayne would check all the boxes on those traits. He works tirelessly on this game. He's a great communicator. His basketball IQ is off the charts. He's an elite rebounder that scores the ball with an outstanding shooting percentage. He's willing to be coached. At 6'9", he has great hands and feet and feel for the game like a seasoned point guard. He plays with a group of talented players and never has anything but a selfless attitude. He could score more points. He could demand the ball more, but he would much rather see his team enjoy success over his own personal statistical goals. So this year, Dwayne is averaging 16.2 points, shooting 70% from the field, 10.2 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 2.3 blocks, and 1.75 steals. He is, I believe I added the 2 games on this, 105 and 17, and in his 4 years at Hoover, 2-time state champion, was the tournament MVP last year. 1,620 points, not counting last week because I didn't get those. 1,030 rebounds, 283 blocks. He was last year's 7A Player of the Year. He was a Team USA 17U finalist last year. He, was first team All-State and super first team All-State, which is all classifications the last 2 years as well. And he was selected by his peers as Mr. Hoover, so he's not just a basketball guy. It's pretty cool. 3.53 GPA. And he will be playing next year against Coach Pearl because he's going to Tennessee. Your player of the week, Dwayne Brown.
First off, I'd just like to thank God for blessing me with the opportunity to play this game. I'd like to thank my family, my coaches, and all of my teammates for pushing me and making me play as hard as I do. And I'd also like to thank the Birmingham Tip-Off Club for naming me as Player of the Week. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dwayne, Coach Ware. I have a feeling we may be seeing these guys back in Birmingham at the end of the season. And shameless plug, for the 3rd straight year, you can watch the Alabama High School Basketball State Finals on Alabama Public Television. I'll be your host, but don't let that stop you from watching. And now, the grand poobah of buckets, bricks, and Birmingham basketball, Jim Conrad.
Well, this is a pretty impressive day here in the program we have, but I get the privilege of presenting awards, the most important thing for today. Anyway, what I do is present the award. We show our knowledge of basketball by having club members pick the winners of games during the week. And then we give a basketball, which I'm going to get you to sign later, and we give a brick to the loser who has the most losers. By the way, I've talked with Scott over here, the coach. Hoover, at the end of the week, is going to Alaska for a tournament. They're going to play 4 games up there. He checked today, Fairbanks, temperature this afternoon is 39. So you picked a great week to go up there. All right, I'm going to get in. We go to the loser first. And the loser got 42%, which is not bad for a loser picking 12 games, Coach. Anyway, and I don't know, I've never known whether to present the loser and say is the winner of the brick or the loser. So our loser today with 42% is Ben Watson. Ben. Now, Ben is the son of Mike and Margaret Watson. And Ben, they both have won several bricks, so I don't know if it's inherited knowledge or what, but anyway. And after our winner is our former president. Well, the second place is Frank Bomberg. I saw Frank over here. But you're second, Frank. And our winner is Scotty Colson. Scotty. I tell you what, Scotty, I'm going to get Coach to autograph the ball, and then after the show, you can pick that up. That'll work good. Thank you.
What can we say about today's guest speaker that hasn't already been said? I'm going to share just a couple of things. We don't need numbers. We don't need stats. We don't need Final Four appearance, the first in state history. We don't need 4 SEC championships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. More wins than Kentucky since 2017, 2018, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But on a personal note, 2 personal notes. You know, when your older son is 21 years old, it's really hard to get him to acknowledge that you know more than he does on any subject. And my older son, Kaiser, loves basketball. He was a pretty good point guard in high school. Bruce was kind enough to visit with Kaiser. We went to Auburn on a trip. Kaiser's choices came down to Auburn and Florida. He chose Florida, as did his younger brother. So I've had to hear from him. Unfortunately, the last time you went to Gainesville, things didn't go so well, so I had to hear from him about how much better Florida was than Auburn in basketball. I haven't heard a word from him since the championship game of the last SEC tournament on that point. And secondly, on a truly personal note, I want to thank you and you, Ed, what you have done for the Mike Slive Prostate Cancer Foundation. I am a prostate cancer survivor. And that is just scratching the surface of the things that Bruce Pearl does to make this a better community and a better state. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to introduce this week's Alabama Power Speaker Series guest, the coach of the #1 team in the United States of America, the Auburn Tigers, Bruce Pearl.
Well, you didn't think I was not going to congratulate Dwayne, right? Come on. There is this thing called a transfer portal, you know. That's inappropriate, but I'm only kidding. You'd be disappointed. And Kevin, I agreed with absolutely everything you said, except one thing. And the reason why I'm going to disagree with him is Kevin has never coached on the road in the SEC. To understand, it doesn't matter what Vegas says. Those officials at Rupp Arena have something to say about the outcome of that game. So that's why Alabama was an underdog going into that game, and that was a great, great win. Winning at Rupp is probably, it's been the hardest place for me to win on the road in the SEC. The league is so good, you know, and I'm really proud of our league. And it really dates back to that office down the street at the SEC. And I just never forget when I came to Tennessee, Mike Slive, the commissioner, was someone that I had known in the industry a little bit. And, you know, men's basketball was Kentucky, Billy Donovan's Florida team, and then maybe Mark had a few years at Alabama or you know, Arkansas a little bit, or LSU here and there, you know, but it wasn't what it is at all now. And Commissioner Sly put his foot down, and he said, look, it just means more. We've done the SEC network. We're dominating everything else in every sport. And he couldn't quite figure it out, other than there just wasn't a commitment from our athletic directors and the university leaderships to be as competitive in men's basketball. Well, now the commitment is here. Our facilities have all been upgraded. The SEC networks really, really helped. The coaching staffs, the investment in NIL, and supporting the programs. And the other thing that I really think is so awesome is that I was blown away going to my first SEC football games and watching and experiencing and enjoying 20,000 visitors to Auburn, Alabama, or even when it was in Knoxville, when I was in Tennessee. I just couldn't believe how SEC fans traveled. And the fan bases became friends and family and great competitors, and it just wasn't like that anyplace else I had seen in sports. We're beginning to do that now in basketball. And part of the thing that has helped us win, 3 road games this year, everybody talks about what a great home court advantage we have at Neville Arena. Somebody needs to look at our record on the road and neutral sites and talk about that, because we've been successful on the road. And part of the reason is you can't get a ticket to Neville Arena. It's sold out. You go online, they're so expensive. It's less expensive to get in a car, drive to a road game in the SEC, stay in a hotel, and buy a ticket on the road. And so when we're on the road in the SEC, we have thousands of witnesses. I call you all witnesses, not fans, but I need witnesses on the road. And I just think that makes the environments in the SEC so very, very special. It's great to be in Birmingham, and I want to thank Birmingham for a number of things. But this past, I guess it was in December, Jay Billis and company and ESPN, they were here in Birmingham, Alabama, and all the pregame shots were of downtown Birmingham, and we were playing over there at Legacy Arena against Purdue. And I thank Matt Painter for coming to bring a team that played in the Final Four a year ago, finished second in the country, to play Auburn. Part of the reason why we were an attractive game for Purdue was 2 years ago we beat Indiana by about 4 touchdowns in Atlanta. And Purdue, that kind of raised our status in the state of Indiana, so Purdue came down here, and we only beat them by 3 touchdowns. So, and the reason why I got to explain point spreads and touchdowns, y'all don't know shit about basketball, but you know football. Y'all know football. But if I talk to you in those terms, 21, I get it. I know exactly what you mean, yeah. We got to live with that, don't we, Dwayne? It's all about football at Hoover, isn't it? You win state championships, coach. It's all about football. But it was a great environment at Legacy, a great environment at Birmingham, and not that I'm announcing this, but just so you all know, next year, Houston will be coming to play us in Birmingham, and that should be another great opportunity for us and bring more great basketball, to the state of Alabama. And echoing what Kevin is saying about the quality of ball in the state, both at the high school level and the collegiate level, and this is what we receive. I don't know that he and I would have ever envisioned this, ever. Working for it, wanting it, hoping it, but now to see it actually be a reality, just hope that lasts into March when it really matters, right? Which is what matters most. I guess I'd be remiss if being here, the reason why I'm here today is it's our bye week and it fits in a little bit. We don't play Tuesday or Wednesday, so it's a little easier, for me to get here. And it just so happens that it falls on Martin Luther King Day. And so what an honor it is to be here, for this occasion. For me, it's 365 days a year, an occasion. Because I don't know, I can think of any individual that affected our country or changed our country more as it relates to trying to give every man or woman an equal opportunity at the American dream. He believed it with all of his heart, in spite of going through the most horrific pain and racism and challenges. I do believe it was because of his faith. He walked in faith. He knew and believed to his core what God wanted from his children, and somehow, some way, and like you said, Dick, to be just 39 when he was taken from us, his legacy lives through all of us. It lives through me as a coach, who work about 95% with African American student athletes, who have to make sure that these guys understand anything and everything is possible in this country, because we live in the greatest country in the world. There are going to be obstacles. There are going to be roadblocks. You're going to get profiled when you walk into a store. You got enough money to buy anything in that store, but somehow the security guy's going to look at you. And this is going to happen. But that is not an excuse for failure. That is not an excuse. You don't think a Jewish basketball coach in Auburn, Alabama doesn't go to work every single day? What a great country we live in, right? I am grateful. I am. And my family is grateful, and my kids are grateful. And the thing that I want from Dwayne, and I want from all of my student athletes, and we talk to those guys, you thank your dad. You thank your grandfather. You thank your uncle. You thank the people in your family that came before you. Because while you don't have it easy, they had it harder. They had it harder. And I want my guys to understand the challenges that they face to make this a greater nation and make this a better place. And so my guys are practicing today. We're practicing today. Dr. King wouldn't have it any other way. I don't think he wouldn't have any other way. And so, I'm grateful for that. Obviously, with it being a day of inauguration of a transfer of power, a peaceful transfer of power, there aren't many democracies or nations in the world that do it like we do it. And it's something that we should honor. And again, along the lines, how appropriate that it is on a day where all Dr. King was trying to do was bring us together. He was just trying to bring us together instead of finding ways to separate us. And if there is an impossible place to bring people together, that would be Washington, D.C. And yet on this day, we come together in love of a nation, and hopefully, things will continue to live as Americans more than as, politically divided in our country. And the last thing I just want to say before I start answering questions, talk about basketball. I'm grateful for the support that I do feel in the state of Alabama as a Jewish American who loves his country more than anything more than any country in the world. I love this country, the United States of America. This country saved my family. My grandfather came here, escaping Turnipole in 1929, 11 years old. He brought his 3 younger siblings with him. His parents could not afford to make the trip. And much of my grandfather's family died in the Holocaust. But this country welcomed him. And he was 32 years old. He became a citizen of this country. Told me it was the greatest day of his life when my grandfather became a citizen of this country. So I love this country, but I also love my Jewish homeland. And I've got this dog tag on. I wear it all the time. I don't always wear it out. But we had 3 beautiful girls get released yesterday and had to pay a terrible, terrible price for that. And so, there are so many, I'm sorry for being upset. Israel has been a great ally for the United States of America. And right now, just looking at that situation right now, and I will tell you, I have been to Israel 7 or 8 times, and I have been to Judea and Samaria and the West Bank 5 or 6 times. and I've donated and worked to try to create peace and prosperity for Jews, Arabs, Palestinians, Israelis. It's been part of what our work because somehow we've got to find a way, for them folks to be able to get along and figure it out. But after October 7th, it's become crystal clear. There are 21 Arab states in the world. There's only one Jewish state. And the Palestinians want their own autonomy. Have you not seen the pictures in Gaza? That's what Palestinian autonomy looks like. I don't like it. It's not right. It is wrong. And the Palestinians cannot have a state of their own. And that is the policy of the United States of America. And the State Department right now, they call for a two-state solution. How in the world can we give the Palestinians a state when all they want to do is kill every Jew on this planet, including me? And I'm not having it. I don't know about you, but I'm not having it. That said, let's talk about the SEC. I like my team, I really do. I did not necessarily know that we could be this good, but I want to tell you a quick story, and I don't know how this is going to work out, but I want to tell you a little bit about God's blessing for a second, all right? And this happens a lot of time in recruiting. Sometimes in recruiting, you think that the reason why somebody took this guy and not that guy is because they didn't think that guy was good enough, and that's just not the case. That is not true. I believe in coaching. Our job is to put kids in positions to be successful. And I think, unfortunately, because of the challenges of our business and, only having a certain number of scholarships and injuries and things like that, sometimes your tendency is to load up the roster with as many good players as you possibly can get because things are going to happen during the course of the season. You might have some injuries. And so you might say things in recruiting to promise some guys some things that you just know aren't going to happen. And so when I lost Jalen Williams a year ago, Jalen Williams was one of the best power forwards in all of college basketball. And he is playing right now in the Denver Nuggets G League team. Jalen Williams has won more games in an Auburn basketball uniform than any player in the history of Auburn basketball. And we recruited Jaheim Hudson to replace him. Jaheim Hudson was the 8th man at SMU. Prior to that, he came off he maybe started about half the games at Georgia State. Jaheim Hudson was not a high major Power 5 starter. But sometimes in coaching and sometimes I think in life, and I don't mind sharing this with you, try to do the things that God might bless. That's what I ask my guys to try to do every single day. Oh, he wanted you to be late for class. I missed that in Genesis. I'm sorry, I missed that in my prayer book. Oh, he wanted somebody else to do your work. Nobody does Dwayne's work. Dwayne does his work. He does his own work in the weight room with his body, working on his game, academically, all those different things. But anyways, so what do? We all practice the kids. We all practice hard. We all have really good coaches and so on and so forth. It's time away when the kids have got to make choices about what we've got to have me do. So when we got to replace Jalen Williams, we made a conscious effort. You know what? I'm going to empower Dylan Cardwell, who's never started. I'm going to empower Chaney Johnson from right here in Birmingham, okay? And Chaney's either going to have a chance to start or be our 6th man. I'm going to empower Janai Broom and play him a few more minutes if he'll get himself in shape and play the game on both ends of the floor. And I'm rolling with those guys. And I'm going to take Jaheim Hudson. I'm not going to take the best kid I could have gotten out of the portal, because it would have put all those kids, including the young man that I might have taken who could have been a starter, in positions to not be successful. And I think that's our job in coaches, to the best of our ability. Now, at the same time, it's easier for me to do it because we've had success. We've won some championships. Auburn's not firing me. Can you believe some of the things I said today? Auburn's not firing me today. You can write letters to the president and go, I can't believe Coach Pearl told me there can only be one Jewish state. He ain't firing me, okay? I got a member of the Board of Trustees here. They're not firing me today. But you know what? To that point, that's one of our challenges too. That's one of our challenges too, is teaching our kids. Where exactly can we teach them? Can we say those things at Hoover High School? Can we say those things, in church or synagogue? Can we say it at the universities? Who's going to teach? I mean, right now, do you think right now in the universities in this country, they're teaching about what's going on right now in the Middle East? The answer is no. They're staying so far away from it. Why are they staying far away from it? Because they want to stay institutionally neutral. Why do they want to stay neutrally? Because there are two sides to every story, and we're not sure which side we want to take. And so you know what? It's not the kids' fault. I don't blame so many of the kids out there protesting right now. They've not been taught. I blame us for not being willing to at least discuss the truth. Can you believe, just looking at these hostages being recovered and seeing all the atrocity that took place, that on dozens and dozens of our college campuses, there were thousands of people supporting Hamas? They killed 40 Americans on that day. They still have Americans held hostage in the tunnels of Gaza. I'm not okay with that. I'm not. And for their behavior, we're going to go ahead and reward them with autonomy in their own state. You want to talk about basketball? Let's talk about basketball. Who's got a basketball question? Yeah. Oh, great story. 1981. I was a student manager at Boston College. We're playing first round of the NCAA tournament in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's Ball State with Ray McCollum, who was a great player for Ball State, Wake Forest and Frank Johnson. I forget who Wake Forest was playing against in the first round, and BC. And I would practice with the team every day. I'd referee practices. I would do a lot of different work for Dr. Tom Davis. I worked for Dr. Tom Davis at Boston College for 4 years. I helped work his camp. I did all this stuff for him, not thinking I was ever going to coach. I just loved what I was doing. And then when I was 21 years old and a senior at Boston College, hadn't even graduated, Tom Davis took the Stanford job, and he asked me to go with him. I was on a plane the next day, hadn't even graduated yet, as one of his assistant coaches. So Dr. Tom Davis obviously saw something in me. I'm grateful, for him in many, many ways. I get a call the day of the beat Ball State game, and I'm thinking, from Coach Davis, he wants me to come to the room. I hadn't done anything wrong the night before, so I know I didn't get caught out after curfew. I didn't get the players, Heinekens or things like that, which I did, but nobody found out about it. I just didn't. And so well, what's wrong? He's going to dress me. I'm going to dress. I'm dressing. Yes. He goes down there and he says, hey, listen, the mascot is sick. Could not make the trip down with the cheerleaders and the pep band. And I told them to bring the suit down. I knew somebody that would wear the suit. This is the truth. All right, so whatever, and the bottom line is you do whatever your head coach asks you to do. Head coach asks you to do something, you put the suit on if the coach asks you to put the suit on. And so I wore that suit. I didn't know the first thing about being a mascot other than just to flap my wings. That's all I knew. I was an eagle. That's all I knew how to do. And so I get out there and I start flashing. I flap my wings and I'm running around and dancing, and you do get a little closer access to the cheerleaders than I would have got when I was just a walk-on. But anyways, and so the game is going on, and I noticed this step ladder that was just like a janitor's closet door was open. It was a step ladder, and I said, you know what? I grabbed the step ladder. I opened it up behind the basket in Coleman Coliseum. It was in Coleman, right? And at the time, there was enough room behind the basket. And I climb up the steps of the thing. I start flapping my wings behind the backboard. The problem was, back in the day, there weren't wireless mics. There was a wired mic. And I couldn't tell because I couldn't have the big head. Kept hitting the water. It was every time I hit the wire. CBS was going, get that mascot off the... Y'all think the first time I got in trouble with the NCAA was at Tennessee? No. The NCAA had a meeting and go, that mascot can't come back for the second round. That's why the NCAA's had it in for me for so long. I almost was, in the history of college basketball, the first mascot ever got thrown out of a game. So that's the story, and every word of it's true, including the microphone thing. That's one of the best questions I've ever gotten. Okay? The difference is the players in this sense. I absolutely can help our guys win games. I can. The way we train, the culture, our locker room, some of the decisions I make. I have not won one single championship. Not one. Players win those championships. They won championships because that kid right there saying to his teammates, the other 4 guys, hey, we need 3 stops right now. And when they decide that they're going to do it, and they decide they're going to play unselfishly, and they decide they're going to listen to their coach, and the players have got to make those choices. And I don't mean to put it on the players, just like what Coach Oates did the other day. He put it on himself. He didn't put it on his players. He put it on his players some way, but then he put it back on himself. But I will say this, boy, our kids win championships. They just do. Now, if they don't win it, I don't blame them, but when we do win it, that's what it's all about. It's just that brotherhood of not being jealous of another man's success. You know, how many times in the Bible did we read about brothers being jealous of each other's success and how that's something that God's not going to bless. And so that's it. That's been it. Yes, sir. Yeah, you. Yep. Two quick questions. First of all, how's the guy? His ankle's hurt, and he probably won't practice this week. We'll maybe look at it at the end of the week and see. Yeah, well, my pleasure. My pleasure. I do. One of the things that happens in coaching, is we tend to, coaches, we're not bought and we're not sold, we're leased. Okay, so when you lease a home, you ain't worrying about the grass, you ain't worrying about the flowers, you ain't worrying about, when you buy that home, you invest in that home. And so one of the pieces of advice I give to all of our players and coaches is, I know it's hard to not buy and be all in. But because a lot of coaches or a lot of people go, okay, this is a stepping stone. Sometimes in your careers, in your jobs, you may take a job knowing this is not the last job, and all you're doing in that job is thinking about your next job. You're not going to get that next job. All you need to be thinking about in that job is doing the best job in that job as you possibly can, make yourself as valuable as you possibly can, and the rest will take care of itself. It's hard in coaching to do that because if we win, you're worried that we're going to leave and take another job. And if we lose, you're packing our bags and saying goodbye to us, so we're either always coming or going in coaching. And then the other thing too is also with friends. I know a lot of people, and I have some friends with me because I'm the basketball coach, but I also have had some friends that have not wanted to get as close to me or my wife or my kids because they know I may not be there, and you don't want to break up a family, and so sometimes in that, I just have never done it that way. I've never done it that way. It doesn't make me better or right, but it's allowed me to have success every place I've been, and it's hard to leave, and I just go to work every day trying to reward Auburn for the decision to bring me here. I did the same thing at Tennessee and every place else I've been. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely, Coach. Yeah, it's a real simple answer. We talked about the 1-2-1-1 full court pressure, a trapping pressure. Right now, Nolan Richardson just can't even recognize college basketball anymore compared to the way Nolan Richard used to coach it with trapping and pressing and playing 94 feet. The way Rick Pitino played it, so on and so forth. There's only one explanation. The NCAA, the rules have changed. They really have legislated against trapping. Like if you can't trap, And because, it's like dirty dancing. Like Kevin's invited to his space and I'm invited to my dance space and we can't get in each other's dance. Well, if you can't trap without a little contact and violating that, whatever this is, that's why we don't do it anymore. You get called for fouls too much. Coach, the other thing too, which is crazy, not crazy, but the rules have changed. We used to always teach second off the floor. Like second off the floor, don't jump for a pump, don't jump. Well, we still want to be second off the floor, but now, in order to not get a foul called, you have to be in the air. You're allowed your space from the floor all the way to the ceiling, and you got to slide over there and get in the air, point A to point A. If you jump from A and get to C, that's going to be a foul, even if you're in the air. But there are no secondary defenders rotating over to take charges anymore, because a secondary defender can't get there based on the rules right now. So the game really changes a lot based on the rules, and the great coaches that you have to navigate the rules, and you've got to be willing to adjust to the rule changes. Yes, sir.
So, not really a question, but a little bit of all the stats that have been put out here. I know we're in the middle of the season. I know there's a lot more to play for, but I just want to congratulate you for becoming the all-time leading coach.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yep. History matters. History does matter to me, and I'm that is quite because it gives me a chance to say, yeah, I'm right there with Joel Eves and Sonny Smith and Cliff Ellis and other great coaches, and to be in that company is very, very special.
Tonight, Broome was a major part of what's going on with the team being at the number 1 spot. I want to ask you, if this continues, as you go on this season, you're going to have injuries. How do you navigate that?
Yeah.
Because he is such a big part of this
Yeah.
team, but you've managed to move on and keep it moving. I remember Rick Pitino did that at the final in 2017. Sometime he was in the final game and he had that major injury and they worked it out anyway.
Yeah.
You have a plan, I'm sure, about this.
Well, I mean, I think it's got to be sort of next man up a little bit. And as I mentioned, Jaheim Hudson has come off the bench. He played 18 minutes at Georgia. Now, listen, and it's not that, again, talk about trying to do things that God might bless and whether they work out or not. Like, I may be too smart for myself. Like, if we get another injury or if we're in foul trouble, look, at the end of the Georgia game, Dylan was on the bench the last 5 or 6 minutes with cramps. And Janai is sitting there in a boot. And yet we hung on. And so, we were a little short. We played Tennessee. They've got a really big front line. We've got to stay out of foul trouble. But you can coach a certain way and defend a certain way to stay out of foul trouble. So the plan has got to be, look, we don't have as much depth on the front line. Not only are we missing maybe a player of the year in college basketball, our leading scorer, our leading rebounder, second of the team in assists, leader in block shots. I mean, Janai does an awful lot for us. But we're missing our starting power forward. And so no matter who, when he comes back, we bring Chaney Johnson off the bench. We don't drop off, we just change. And so, the guys are all stepping up. It's about matchups. It is about matchups. And it's also about being excited about playing every night. If you look right now to national championship games going to be playing in football, you cannot tell me that Notre Dame and Ohio State are both in some of the top teams in the SEC. But they don't play this. I mean, if I'm Notre Dame and playing that schedule, okay, I'm pretty excited about getting in postseason play, right? Okay, and they're not getting worn out and beat up every single Saturday like we do in the SEC in football. I mean, how many big games did Georgia play? How many big games were they supposed to get up for? So that thing's kind of weird. That thing was, and the first rounds were terrible. They got to obviously feel that wasn't like the first round of the NCAA tournament at all. But we're also going to beat each other up a lot, and we'll have to see what happens in March. When some of these teams and some of these other leagues are putting up with some bad play, and they're excited about playing, are we going to be tired for having to go through this incredible gauntlet? Take a couple more. Yes, sir. Alabaster. Thompson High School. Okay. Yeah. Let me tell you. Again, in coaching and in teaching and mentoring and things like that, so many kids, we all come from different backgrounds and we all have different advantages and disadvantages, so on and so forth. but I can't tell you at this age and years of experience how many times great support from family can make such a difference. Now I've got some kids that have been incredibly successful without a father in a home or something where there's been some abuse or there's been some challenges. That doesn't mean they can't get there. Absolutely can. But the road is harder. It's harder. And so it's just for all of us as fathers, our roles as fathers and parents and grandfathers, the importance of making sure that no matter how hard we work and how disproportionate our time is at work, that our most important job is with our families. And families can be split and have all kinds of different things, but we gotta do what's best for the children, no matter what. Because it's so, to my point, Cheney's got great parents. Incredible parents, whose job is to love their son and to teach him and guide him. And typically the parents that want their sons to be coached and held accountable and pushed and loved, treated fairly, are the ones that the kids are so much joy to coach and play for. Cheney is my hardest worker. And a lot of times, and coach, you won't say some is your hardest worker because you got 5 or 6 guys that work really hard. Some may work a little harder than the others. So generally, I never say a guy's my hardest. Cheney Johnson's my hardest worker. And I got a bunch of guys that work really hard, but they all know it. In fact, yesterday, I was on the phone with him yesterday asking him what he was doing, because he went to church in the morning. And I said, Cheney, because he overtrains. He works too hard. He's in the gym too much, and I need him fresh. And part of that is hard work won't guarantee you success. But without hard work, I guarantee you won't have success. It's your choice. Cheney chooses to work hard academically, and he graduated in all the different ways. His body's changed, like he's bigger and stronger. Confidence levels are always a factor. When Tahad Pettifor, my little point guard from Jersey, has been playing in the playgrounds of New York and New Jersey, playing against pros, playing against great players, he's got a little different level of confidence, than Cheney growing up where he grew up, because he didn't have that same experience and that same exposure. And so I've got to pour some confidence into Cheney. He can do it. Todd got started a little bit differently. But I'll take Cheney Johnson all day, every day. And the fact that, like our roster, Cheney Johnson was a Division II player. Tahad Pettifor is the only 5-star player on my roster. Every other one of those guys were 3 and 4 stars coming out of high school. That doesn't make me a great coach, but it does recognize you don't have to have 5 stars to be able to you have to have enough talent. You have to have enough talent. But sometimes you have too much talent, you got a bad locker room. It's got to be the right mix. But Cheney's been great, and he can guard anybody on the floor and do things on the inside, the out, and he's got to play better than he did at Georgia, though. I'm gonna take. We got time for one more. I'll take one more. Yes, sir. Wait. One there and one there. These last 2. Go. Okay, well, first of all, the courts were the ones that had changed the way we'd done things. And because they've looked at it as, these guys as being adults, and they've looked at it as saying, well, you really can't inhibit one man's ability to change jobs and move from this job to the next job. And somehow they felt like we were penalizing the students for doing it. Problem is, every time you transfer, you lose credits towards your degree. You can't transfer from school to school. Every university doesn't accept it. And so a lot of these guys are in the transfer portal 3 or 4 times, they're not going to get their degrees. And nobody's complaining about that. So sometimes the adults in the room have got to make some decisions. Here's what I'm in favor. I'm in favor of a one-time transfer without having to sit out. If you want to do it once because you got yourself in a bad situation, that's fine. I'm actually in favor of 5 years to play 5. 5 years to play 5. You have 5 years. 5 years of eligibility. You want to play 5 years? Great. You want to redshirt? Great. You want to transfer? Great. But I will say this about transferring. I think they should be allowed to transfer one time, but not every year. Because what happens is with a combination of NIL, the season's over and everybody else in my league, like anybody in my league right now, call Tahad Pettifor and offer him more money to go play there next year than I could afford to pay him at Auburn. And I will tell you this about our team. I'll tell you this right now. No, I'm not going to tell you. I can't tell you this. We're not the highest paid NIL roster in our league. I'm not going to tell you where we are, but we're not. And I wish it was more because I would like to do more for my kids. So that's what I want. And then I'm also in favor of grad transfer. If you graduate from school and you want to transfer, so it's potential to transfer twice, once upon graduation. Because the combination of NIL and transferring every year is creating free agency. It's not good. Last question. We do. We absolutely change based on the team that we play against. Alabama's got some great strengths. They've got some weaknesses. Our job is to take the things in our defense and our offense that we think can be successful on what they do don't do well, and recognize the things that they do great and change what we're going to do defensively or offensively to that's who we are. And so we're very, very much a scout-specific team. Now you have to have the whole package to be able to make those changes. But people, again, you could ask me about Alabama. I've not seen them very much. The only way I would have seen them is if maybe I was preparing for another team. And so far in our league, we haven't played anybody where Alabama had just played them. I got plenty of time to worry about Alabama. Right now it's all about the Vols and all about getting our team, right for this week. And so appreciate what you all do for Birmingham. Appreciate you all doing for basketball. Appreciate what you do for these coaches and for these student athletes. Zeke, thanks for Alabama Power continuing to support. Kevin, thanks for your leadership. Dick, thanks for having me. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next year. War Eagle.
Thank you so much, Coach, for taking the time and making the effort to be with us. A reminder, our next meeting is 2 weeks from today with Coach Nate Oates. And be sure and buy your Squadron Night tickets on the way out and pick up your NCAA volunteer forms as well. We'll see you February 3rd. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah. Did Michelle get you a check?
Yeah, she did.
Okay, I was going to say, I didn't get